Hi guys, I'm Takara. Welcome back to my channel. As you guys saw in the title, I am going to be showing you guys the fragrances that I have decluttered that may be surprising to you guys because I used to love them. So I'm just going to share with you guys why I decluttered each one of them, and the reason may be similar for probably the majority of them. So it shouldn't take that long for me to go through this. I'm not going to go through and describe the scents of these because most of these you guys have already, most if not all actually, you guys have already seen in a video. So I just want to come out here and tell you guys what I've decluttered and why, because I feel like I owe you guys an explanation, even though you guys didn't ask. But at some point you might ask me, oh, where is this fragrance or where is this fragrance? And I want to be able to have a video where I discuss the ones that have gone and the reason why they have gone. So before we get started, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because that really helps my channel out. Also, drop your scent of the day down in the comments because I love hearing what you guys are wearing, and leaving comments helps my channel out as well. So with that said, we're gonna jump into the list. They're not in any particular order, but I do have quite a few. So I'm looking at my list here and I forgot one that I just remembered off the top of my head. So I'm gonna start with that one so I don't forget it later on. But the first fragrance I'm gonna start with is Roberto Cavalli Gemma di Paradiso. And I'll try to put a picture of the fragrances on the screen. So you guys know that was a fragrance that I loved. I'm not gonna say that with all of these because most of these are fragrances that I love, but y'all know I really love that one because I expressed that in several videos that I loved it. And I did still enjoy that fragrance. I did still like it. It was no longer a love for me. And it kind of had something to do with the fact that, like I mentioned, I think in my previous video, sometimes if I wear a fragrance too much or for too long, I can start to get tired of it. So I went through one whole bottle of the Gemma di Paradiso, or was it two? It was either 1 or 2 bottles that I went through, and then I had another bottle that I went through probably about a third of it before I decluttered it. And so basically I just grew tired of it, and that may be just the thing. It may just be some of these I just needed a break from, and I may order it again in the future. It might end up back in my collection at some point, who knows? But I think my nose just grew tired of the scent of that fragrance. So I did end up decluttering it. And just like as a preface for all the ones I'm gonna mention, I'm the type of person that, yes, I have a perfume collection, but I'm not a perfume collector. I'm the type that if I feel like I'm not reaching for a fragrance, or if it's something that I'm not really feeling too much and I'm determined that, yeah, I may not like that fragrance, I will declutter it. I don't waste any time doing so because I don't like just having fragrances just sitting in my collection and not being used, or me not seeing any potential of them being used, if that makes sense. So that's the reason why I declutter as much as I do as well, because I've decluttered so many fragrances. I keep an inventory of my fragrances on Fragrantica, which I think is really helpful if you have a large collection and you want to just be aware of what you have and want to make sure that you're giving all of your fragrances love. So I keep inventory of what I have and what I've decluttered or I'm decluttering. So I think there's like 200 and something fragrances in my perfumes I've had section on Fragrantica, and the majority of those are fragrances I've either used up or decluttered. Most of them are from decluttering them. Moving on with my list, another fragrance I decluttered is Belle by Jean Paul Gaultier. Now Belle, I do remember really enjoying it at one point. I remember that it wasn't a love at first sniff for me. I think that was one that had to grow on me. But what I found was, even though I did enjoy that fragrance, it wasn't one that I found myself reaching for whenever I was thinking, let me pick out a fragrance for today. I would look at it because I do that sometimes. Instead of going to fragrance, because sometimes I'll just go like stand and look at my perfume shelf and like see which ones I want to wear. So I would see it because it's on the top shelf right there on the left, and I usually go from left to right when I'm looking. I would see it and not think twice about picking it up. That was never one that I was like, oh, I want to wear this one. So again, this comes into play. If it's something that I'm not reaching for, I will get rid of it if I'm not reaching for it, or if I don't see myself reaching for it. So the fact that I never was wanting to wear that one, I was like, yeah, I probably should declutter it. So that's basically what happened with that one. Next, it's gonna be really surprising to you guys, but I decluttered Kilian Love Don't Be Shy. The reason why I decluttered Love Don't Be Shy was because the neroli note in it began to become too much for me. I started to really notice it, and I don't know if it's just because my nose has begun to mature, because I remember I told you guys that neroli in me weird. I say love or hate, I think, but I don't think I like it at all anymore. Especially done like how it's done in Love Don't Be Shy. So for that reason, I decluttered Love Don't Be Shy. And another reason why I decluttered the original was because I'd sampled Love Extreme from, I think, Jen Loves Perfumes, one of my subby friends here. I think she sent me a sample of Love Extreme, if I'm not mistaken. And I really liked it. It was giving me just like a straight up rose flavored marshmallow fluff, and I was obsessed. At least that's what I got when I sampled it. So then I bought a full bottle of it and decluttered the original because I thought I liked the Extreme more. And with the Extreme, I found that for whatever reason, I feel like the sample was sweeter. Like I enjoyed the sample more. And when I got the bottle, I feel like I got more of the rose. And it still had the patchouli, not patchouli, it still had the neroli note as well. Not as prominent as in the original, but yeah, I could still smell it. So I feel like that one was more floral, less sweet and marshmallow-like. I feel like if it had more of a marshmallow presence, I feel like they may have been able to overshadow potentially the neroli in the Extreme since it was less potent than it is in the original. But yeah, so I ended up decluttering Love Extreme as well because I didn't love it anymore. I feel like Love Don't Be Shy, and then I guess I fell out of love with Love Extreme as well, even though I fell in love with the sample and not the actual full bottle. Oh, and I also decluttered La Belle Fleur Terrible, which I don't think I showed you guys that I had it, so I wasn't gonna talk about it, but I think I did show it on my Instagram at one point. But I did end up decluttering that one. That one, when I first sprayed it, I really enjoyed it. It had, like Becky said in her video, it gave tropical without being tropical in the same sense that most perfumes do tropical. So not in the beachy suntan lotion ocean breeze aspect, but more of like a tropical lagoon aspect. So that I really enjoyed because it was a bit aquatic, bit fresh, bit clean, bit powdery, and there was a hint of something fruity in it, and the fruitiness is what ended up throwing me off. In the opening, it reminded me of the original La Belle because I did still get like that pear vetiver combo in the opening of the Fleur Terrible. But as it dried down, the fruit notes, once it starts drying down, it doesn't smell like pear anymore. It starts smelling like a ripe fruit note, and like an overly ripe fruit note at that. So that overly ripeness of it began to start making me feel nauseous when I wore it. It was one that I got a couple compliments on. I only wore it a few times, but I got compliments on it. But that ripe fruit note, I don't know, something about that was just not meshing well with me and my nose or stomach. So I ended up decluttering that one as well. So the next fragrance that I've told you guys that I loved and I ended up decluttering was Libre Intense. Again, it was another fragrance that I just wasn't reaching for that much. I did like it, but I think I already told you guys this as well. I did and do still prefer the original Libre Intense. It's a nice fragrance as well. A nice gourmand take on an aromatic floral fragrance, but I just wasn't reaching for it. So that's all I have to say about that one. So the next fragrance I decluttered is Sol Cheirosa 62. And the reason why I decluttered that fragrance is because it's another one that I wasn't reaching for that much. Surprisingly, I thought I would reach for it more than I did, but I didn't. I did still like the scent, but what I do when I'm about to declutter a fragrance is I'll make a list of fragrances that are potentially up for being decluttered. And what I do is I'll go through and wear them all again one last time to, like, you know, give them one more chance. I'm not gonna be hasty and just kick them out. So unless it's something I know I just don't like, I usually give them one final wear and just to make sure that I want to actually get rid of it. So I wore that one again for the last time, and then in the dry down, there was something about it that wasn't zhuzhing well with my nose. And I think the nutty notes that are in it, I don't know what they were doing on my skin in the dry down, but I wasn't feeling it that day. And that just so happened to be the day where it had its last chance to show me what it had. I will say, once I decluttered that one, I regretted it. I don't know, I feel like I should have just gave it another chance, like when the weather was more appropriate for it. I can't remember how the weather was that day, but I feel like I was still, even though I gave it a last chance, one final chance, I do feel like I was still a bit hasty with decluttering that one. I usually don't regret my declutters because me giving them that final chance is me being like, okay, like I'm not gonna miss you, and if I do, I can always just repurchase it, and that's the mindset that I usually have. But I don't know, with that one I regretted it, and I'm gonna be honest and tell y'all that. So that one might get picked up again when the weather is warmer. Who knows? We'll see if I still feel that same way, because I do still have the Brazilian Crush mist and then the Bum Bum cream, and they do have that same scent, and I think that's why I regretted it, because I had the whole like layering combo that I could wear, the body cream, the mist, and the perfume, and now I only have the body cream and the mist, which will still suffice and can still suffice, but you know, y'all know how it is sometimes. All right, so the next fragrance I decluttered is Burberry Her, the original and the intense. And I told you guys in my part 2 fragrance collection video, basically the reason why I decluttered the Burberry Hers. I got to a point where anything with the Baccarat Rouge DNA hurt my stomach, and they became off-putting to my nose. So I found myself just not reaching for the Burberry Her original or the intense. Believe it or not, I decluttered the intense first, because I started to, like I said, that DNA, the Baccarat Rouge DNA, started to become annoying. And then also with that one in particular, the benzoin note, remember how I told you guys it kind of smelled, I think I said vanilla cough syrup. Yes, and the cough syrup aspect from the benzoin notes, it started to actually become off-putting to me. I stopped enjoying the fragrance because of it. So that one left first, and I did still like her at the time, but I wasn't reaching for it. And then I got the Marc Jacobs, or I was planning to get at least the Marc Jacobs Daisy Oh So Intense. So since I knew I was gonna get that one, I was like, I can go ahead and declutter the original Burberry Her, because I'm not even reaching for it anyway. So yeah, that's why I decluttered the Burberry Her and the Burberry Her Intense. The next fragrance I decluttered is Flowerbomb Nectar by Viktor&Rolf. That one I decluttered because I got the Ruby Orchid fragrance and I much prefer it. The gunpowder note in the Flowerbomb Nectar fragrance, I found it to be a bit off-putting and a bit too much sometimes, because it came off really metallic on my skin, and I just didn't know how I felt about that. Ruby Orchid, it does not have that note, and it does still have the original Flowerbomb DNA as well, but the patchouli note is way more toned down in Ruby Orchid, and so I preferred it to the original Flowerbomb as well. So for me, Flowerbomb Ruby Orchid was just my Flowerbomb of choice. So that's why I decluttered Nectar, because I felt like if I had Ruby Orchid and Nectar, I wouldn't reach for Nectar, and so there was no point in me keeping it in my collection. All right, so next I decluttered Parfums de Marly Meliora, and the reason why I decluttered Meliora is because, just to put it frankly, I just fell out of love with it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I used to. The main reason why I bought Meliora was because I liked the addition of the vanilla note in that fragrance. Well, not necessarily addition, because I'm comparing it to Amethyst in my mind. The vanilla note in it just added this creamy element that was more so in the background, but the creamy element along with those like juicy tarts berry notes that are in it, the vanilla with those kind of gave it like a berries and cream scent to me, along with that bit of greenness that you get in the fragrance. So I feel like it was just very well balanced. But there just became a point where I didn't really smell the vanilla note as much as I used to, and it was just more like those tart, not quite ripe, but still little juicy berries, and then the green element that that fragrance has. So I just didn't love it as much, because the vanilla was the part of the fragrance that I think I loved the most. So for that reason, I went ahead and got rid of it. So the next fragrance I decluttered is My Way by Giorgio Armani, and that's just another one that I kind of grew tired of. I had the 100 ml bottle. I think I used about a third of the bottle before I got rid of it, and y'all know that one is, to me at least, and on my skin, it was pretty beast mode. So it was one that I found that I had to be in the mood for, and there just became a point where I kind of grew tired of the scent. I feel like I could have got a 1 ounce bottle of that one and been good, but I think I got the full size bottle, and yeah, I was tired of it, so I decluttered it. The next fragrance I decluttered is Lune Feline, and that one for me just got to a point to where the cardamom note in it just became too much. Cardamom, I will say, is a note that I don't like in fragrance. It just has too much of an herbal scent to it for me to enjoy it. It's like a herbal, almost clove-like scent, and I don't know. I don't like it in fragrance. I think it had always been the more prominent note in Lune Feline, but I think I was able to look past it at one point because I liked how the vanilla was done in Lune Feline, but eventually it just became too much and kind of went neroli. My nose just probably became overly sensitive to cardamom as a note, and it just made it to where I wasn't reaching for Lune Feline anymore. So I got rid of it. The next fragrance I decluttered is Chloe Nomade, and the reason why I decluttered that one is just because I wasn't reaching for it. You know, kind of like with Belle, like I would look at my shelf, see it, and just pick something else. So I said, if I'm not gonna wear it, it needs to go. The next fragrance is Angel Muse, the EDP and the EDT. Angel Muse is another one of those fragrances that I found myself only reaching for like bedtime. I would never reach for it when I was actually leaving my house and going anywhere. So because of that, I was like, oh, I probably should just go ahead and let her go. And so that's what I did. And Muse, the EDT, that one I don't think I was reaching for much at all because it was one of those like daytime fruity but gourmand also fragrances that I feel like I had to be in the mood to wear because it was so different. But I did really enjoy that fragrance scent wise. I wasn't reaching for it. So I decluttered it. All right, so next on my list is Hugo Boss, the scent Private Accord. I think I used about half of the bottle and I just stopped wearing it. So since I wasn't wearing it anymore, I decluttered it. The next fragrance on my list is Elie Saab Girl of Now Sunshine. That one was just one that I wasn't reaching for it. That scent profile in general, the Girl of Now fragrance, that scent profile, because you do still get that scent profile in the Girl of Now Sunshine fragrance. I think I'm just not the biggest fan of that scent profile in general. The pineapple note definitely helped shine, and the fact that they toned down the sweetness a bit and made it a bit more fresh, I enjoyed that more for sure, but I'm just not a big fan of the Girl of Now DNA, so I didn't reach for that fragrance as much. And last on my fragrances I decluttered list is This Is Her by Zadig and Voltaire. And for that one, I used about half of it and then I stopped reaching for it. But the reason why I stopped reaching for it was because I began to get more of that jasmine note. Remember I was saying that I feel like the jasmine note was giving me more of like how your skin would smell like after you just freshly showered and used like the Dove Beauty Bar soap. That fragrance like lingered on your skin. It's like a musky, soapy scent. I feel like I started to get that more the longer I had it, which made me not want to wear it because I liked it more for that lactonic element. So I decluttered it. That is all the fragrances I have listed here. I tried to make sure I discussed the ones that I've talked to you guys before on this channel. That was my main intent. I've decluttered more than this, but I didn't feel the need to discuss those on here if they didn't even make the channel in the first place.
And no shade. No shade, no.
Unless I was already talking about the pillar fragrance. So that's it. I hope this video, I don't know if I want to say I hope it was helpful or not, because how would it be? But I guess it would be helpful if you guys were curious as to why I haven't been talking about certain fragrances, or if you are curious in the future as to why I'm not talking about certain fragrances or why you don't see them anymore. Then this can help to clear all that up. But that is it for this video. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.